The weakening facility is quite possibly one of the most important things in the game, and with Eternal Lands happening much more frequently, this is definitely where it shines, so it's worth talking about. But first, I would like to thank those in the Top War community Discord. It's a player-made Discord, and the admins in there have been a massive help getting me the resources and information I've needed to get this video out here. So make sure you give them a visit. There's a lot of great people in there and helpful information. I'll leave a link to their Discord in the description below. Now, of course, the weakening facility weakens your opponents, but there's one particular stat that it reduces that really makes a huge difference, and that would be the attack speed. Now, assuming you and your opponent have the same high rate of fire components, if your enemy is affected by the weakening facility and it reduces their attack speed, this results in all 9 of your stacks being able to attack before any of your opponents are able to attack. And of course, this gives you a huge benefit because there's the chance you can wipe out some of their units or all of their units before they even get a chance to attack. And that's what makes the weakening facility so special. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Now, to make a weakening facility, you will have to be a mechanical master who is specialized in legendary craftsmen. Now, you unlock the weakening facility once you reach the 3rd tier of legendary craftsmen. Here you can research 3 levels of the weakening facility, so levels 1, 2, and 3, and then in tier 7, there's a 4th and 5th level that you're able to research. So when I'm referring to levels 1 through 5, this is what I'm referring to. 1 through 3 is from the 3rd tier, and then 4 and 5 is from the 7th tier. Now, the biggest thing of note is the weakening facility actually is not able to reduce the attack speed of an opponent until level 3, so you will have to complete the 3rd level in tier 3 before you can even get an attack speed reduction. Now, as you can see by the red highlighted area, this is the zone that is covered by the weakening facility. Anything within this zone is affected by the Tower of Weakening. However, the Tower of Weakening is not able to affect those within itself. You'll actually need a second Tower of Weakening to cover anything that's inside that one. So, if there's only one Tower of Weakening, it's fairly easy to take down because you just attack the tower itself because it can't defend itself. However, if there's 2 towers, they cover each other, and then you can defend a tower while gaining the advantage of the weakening facility. Now, of course, these weakening facilities have many uses. Let's just go over a few of them and some of the strategies that you can use to use them to their fullest effect. Now, of course, these towers shine the most during Eternal Lands. This is when they get the most attention and when they're the most useful. Now, if you're trying to take over an opponent's area, there are a couple different methods that you can use these towers to their fullest. One of them is basically a daisy chain method, where you place one tower, and then in front of it you place another, and then another. Because as I mentioned earlier, a tower is not able to give an attack speed reduction within its own self, because you do have to reinforce these to defend them, but it can reduce the attack speed of someone in another tower. So you'll need at least 2 towers, but to do this method properly, you need at least 2 legendary craftsmen, but you can do it with as many as you want. Now, when a legendary craftsman researches their weakening facility to level 4, they're actually able to build 2 of the facilities. So what you'll have happen is you'll have a mechanical master place a facility, and you'll need minimum 3 towers at all times. 2 of the towers will be covering each other, and then they'll also be covering the 3rd tower, which is currently building. Then you just take the tower in the back and you move it to the front, and you just keep marching along by placing tower in front of each other over and over, and then you just march straight through the enemy's area, and the entire time you have the advantage of the attack speed reduction. Another method you can do is you can go to the edge of the enemy territory and try to stealthily build 2 towers right at the edge of their territory while they're not paying attention. These towers do take different amounts of time to build depending on what level you have them at. Level 1 would take 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and it continually goes down until level 5, where it takes 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So you'll move to the edge of an enemy territory, you'll try to build these 2 towers as quickly as possible, and then you can use the daisy chain method that I just mentioned to continue to march into their territory. Some other uses for the weakening facilities, of course, during SVS, it can be very helpful. You can start building these just before SVS begins. That way they finish construction next to your ruins as soon as the event starts, so you have a bonus when defending. You can also go into the enemy server and try to build a couple of these towers to create basically a safe zone where your people can teleport to get a moment's breath while they're protected by the weakening facilities. This is also a useful method during War of Odinium, where you can place a tower next to a transfer station. However, you will need to own the transfer station to build a facility there. If the enemy owns the facility, it will not be able to be built when the legendary craftsman sends a march out to build the facility, because they do have to send a march there and have troops in it for the facility to build. If the enemy owns the territory, the march will bounce back. So if you own the territory and while the march is out, the opponents take back the transfer station, your march will bounce back once it gets there because it's enemy territory and they can't build. However, if it's already in the process of being built and the enemy takes over, it will still continue to build. And last thing of note, as far as where you can build the towers, the capital city as well as the silos around it within this red zone, so anything within this red zone actually cannot have a weakening tower in it. You will not be able to build here. Now, obviously, these weakening facilities give whoever has them a massive advantage in the battle. However, there are a few ways to counter them, so we'll go over those. But before we do, it's important to understand how they work and how they're destroyed. Now, the process to build a weakening facility is a legendary craftsman sends out a march. Once the march reaches the location, it starts building the facility and defending the facility. When the timer reaches 0, the facility is built and the buff is given. However, during that time, it can be attacked. If it's attacked and whoever is defending it is kicked out of the building, it doesn't destroy the building, it starts a different timer. Now, while a weakening facility is being built, it shows durability, but the durability is unaffected. If there are no allied units to the weakening facility inside it, what happens is a different timer starts, and once that timer reaches 0, the weakening facility will disappear. So for someone to build a facility, there always has to be allied troops within the facility. So if you see an enemy building a facility, kick their troops out as soon as possible so you can start the timer to get rid of the facility. Now, if the facility has been built, the only way to get rid of it is by either letting it expire because the facilities can only stay up for a fixed amount of time, or by attacking it and getting rid of it. Now, when you attack it, of course, it does damage to the durability, but it doesn't get rid of it in one hit. So you will have to not only defeat the units who are defending it, but then you'll have to repeatedly attack the weakening facility to lower its durability to 0, which will destroy the tower. Now, some of the methods that you can do to counter an enemy who is using these weakening facilities. The first method is just from brute force. Now, while the enemy does have the attack speed advantage, it is still technically possible, if you get a strong enough player, to beat them out of it anyway. Now, this isn't the most advised method, especially during Eternal Lands, because your troops are very valuable, but if you get a whale in your server, someone who's got a big enough punch, they can just hit that thing over and over and knock everybody out, and then you can start attacking the tower to get rid of its durability. But, as I mentioned, this is a very costly method because they are likely going to lose troops because of that attack speed reduction. Another way that you're able to counter enemy towers of weakening is through your own towers or your own weakening facilities. If both sides have a weakening facility, the attack speed reduction can potentially cancel itself out, so neither side really has the boost. However, it's important to note that the attack speed reduction doesn't happen unless a legendary craftsman has reached level 3 of the weakening facility. It does not have an attack speed reduction until level 3. And also of note is at level 4 the attack speed reduction increases. So at level 3 it's 10%, level 4 it's 11%, and level 5 it's 12%. So to counter an enemy tower of weakening, you can have an equal or stronger tower in place next to theirs. So if you have equal towers, they cancel each other out, but if you have a stronger tower, then you have the attack speed advantage and you attack 9 times before they do. Another method that can counter weakening facilities is the Electro Missile. This can only be produced by great scientists, so it's a very rare thing to see because unfortunately great scientists at the moment are one of the weakest classes, but they have access to this and nobody else does. However, these are very expensive to build. They do take 5 sophisticated drawings that could be obtained through the Legion store, 35 mechanical gears, as well as 15 million oil. Now, these are very ill-advised to produce because they take so many class items. It's better for you to upgrade your class than use them to produce this item, because while this is amazing and it can shut down a weakening facility for 3 minutes, it's only going to do it for 3 minutes, it's only one use, and it only works on one tower, and it's very expensive to build. So they can be handy if you use them at a critical point, but the expense that these things take to make just kind of makes them not worth it. And I would really look at the other methods that I'm listing for countering weakening facilities rather than using this, but it's good to know that it's there. And the last thing I have for countering the weakening facilities is simply just move the battle, tactically retreat, regroup, do something. Especially during Eternal Lands, there's not too many times where you have to focus on one single point. Move around, flank someone, because they can't just pick those towers up and move them instantly. They have to build. So if you can flank someone, put your towers up in a different location, and get the advantage on a different front, that's always a good opportunity. So look for opportunities to move the battle away from enemy weakening facilities. Just a couple more fun facts about the weakening facilities. These actually do take gold for a legendary craftsman to build them. So it is very important for a legendary craftsman to up their gold production as much as possible to make sure the gold isn't an overdue burden. It does get cheaper as you level it up, where at level 5 it will cost you 30 EE gold. So it's not a terrible amount of gold, but still it's very important for your gold production as a legendary craftsman to get up there as much as you can to make sure that you have enough money to get through a battle producing several of these towers. And in addition to offering the attack speed reduction, the weakening facilities are also able to reduce the HP of the enemy. While this isn't as grand as the attack speed reduction, it's still a nice benefit to have. However, of note, the weakening facility has no effect on any enemy that has 0% stats. Now, generally, the 0% stat units that I would be referring to would be World Boss, Dark Forces, Warhammer. So generally, most PvE scenarios, the weakening facility is not going to help you out at all because the game doesn't seem to recognize negative stats. So if you reduce the attack speed of someone who has 0 attack speed, it doesn't change anything. I will also be putting up a few spreadsheets on my Discord to give information on what buffs happen at what level for the weakening facility, so make sure you join my Discord. I'll leave a link in the description below. Also, thanks to the guys at the topwar community Discord, the player-made Discord. The admins there were a great help for this video, so you'll definitely want to give them a visit. Again, I'll leave their Discord in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Thank you to everybody who subscribed. And before you go, please drop a like. Really appreciate it. Helps out the channel a ton, and I want you to have a fantastic day.